Today on my short outing, I'm gonna do like a how-to ice fishing video to like find panfish. I'm on this lake where I filmed part of the one challenge video I did, and I didn't catch anything that day, and I didn't have a flasher. And so I'm gonna show you how to possibly find fish and see where they're at. So a lot of times bluegills relate to weed edges or some type of structure, but sometimes they'll be on a basin lake bite, so you need to know what your lake is like first. So you can use some type of app like Fishy.D or Navionics to look at what your lake structure is like. And number one thing is you look where people are fishing. Like I was walking across this lake out, and I know there's this point here where there's usually weeds that stick out of it. And when I was musky fishing out here, I know there was a column of weeds that stayed out here, and the rest of the lake they cut the weeds. So I saw this spot here, so I decided to drill a hole here, and I caught a perch. So I'll show you the lake I'm on. And you see this lake does not have a whole lot of structure. The deepest point is behind me, and I'm by the access, and there's like a little hump by where we're at here, where the point sticks out, and that's where we're fishing, right in here. So this says we're in like 6-8 feet of water, and my flasher says we're in about 8, so we must be on that drop off. And for jigs, I started out with this jig, which is this moon jig, and I have this little chartreuse Musky I'm going to go at them now with, because they were being kind of lethargic. And for bait, I'm going to use a spike. My flasher, I'll show you some footage of it. And then I'm going to put the thing on the stand. See, my jig is that thing that's moving around. So I have a variety of colors of jigs. Today I'm just using a chartreuse color, but I have a variety of these jigs. I have some tungsten jigs, some larger lindybug jigs, some purple and black jigs. I use different jigs depending upon the lake. In this lake, I've had best luck on chartreuse. So I had a chartreuse jig on, so I'm fishing with the chartreuse jig. We just got back from ice fishing tonight. We only caught one bluegill and one perch, and neither were very big. I'm starting up our smoker right now, and I'm going to make some smoked brown trout and king salmon for my department's Christmas party tomorrow. So I'm just getting that started. So I've made some hickory chips, which I cut up out of wood, which I'll show you. And then I brine the fish in a Montana smoked trout recipe. And then I'm going to put it on the smoker. And I can give you the link to the recipe for making smoked trout. So today is December 23rd, and it's about 2:30 p.m. and we're going to the slough on the river. It looks like someone out here just caught a snaky northern that tip up. We're going to go and try for some panfish, and we'll probably put out one tip up. So we're seeing some fish here. I'm going to see what they are, and then I'm going to set out up here. These fish are quite a ways off bottom. See what it is. It is a puny gill. First fish of the day though. They're suspended here, so their marks are up higher on this artiste fish jig and some spikes. I started out in 15 feet of water and I found a lot of suspended fish, and I was able to work them up and get some of them to hit, and they were all small fish. Not what we're after.
And I was catching them on 2 spikes and an artiste fish jig anywhere from a foot or 2 off the bottom to 4 feet off the bottom. So then I decided to move around and punch some holes. I've then drilled about 4 or 5 different holes in this spot and moved around with the flashers till I decided on the last spot I fished where I caught about an 8-inch bluegill. A good way to try to find larger gills is to move around and drill other holes, but when there's thin ice, sometimes you scare the fish away when you walk around, and it takes a few minutes once you drill a hole for the fish to come back. So you just got to experiment with these and see what is working. Like sometimes it works better to stay put and just wait for cruising schools to come through, and otherwise it works better to move around and find the gills. So these are 2 strategies that can help you catch some bluegills.
Now let's move.
And you also can experiment with waxies versus spikes, because some days when they're lethargic they like spikes
that little
better.
chartreuse jig though.
But when they're aggressive they like waxies better.
I think we had one on. Oh, another dink gill. See, it's a fish at least, but it's a tiny one. We probably should move to a different school. We're on this artiste fin. Just robbed us. Got this one. Oh, this one's actually a keeper. Yeah, we're gonna keep fishing over here. What's what we're after? Another one. Dink gill. Nice fish though. Still fish. More fish than I catch sitting on the couch today.
This day I caught about 25 bluegills, or 30 of them, but most of them were in the small side. I didn't put every bluegill in this footage, and some of these fish I caught were in a different video.
Let's be gentle with it. Oh, did I get a bit off? And I lost it. We're gonna pull up one of the tip-ups anyway, so.
There's jig from the mystery tackle box, and you can see how fast it falls. The jig is this spot that's moving on the flasher, and it just sinks on the bottom really fast. This jig is really, Sitka jig is really light, and you can see how slow it falls. And you see a fish right where my finger is there. I just missed that fish too. We better check for bait. Oh good, I still have bait.
On December 24th, I went on fishing on Crystal Lake from a little after 3 to about 4:45, and it was snowing part of the time, and it was a little colder out. And I fished mostly for crappies.
So today we're out fishing on Crystal Lake. It's Christmas Eve. I have out a tip down, this rod setup I got off Amazon, which is a quick set, which I'm going to do a review on. Here's how I have it set up. I should have the hole by the rod tip, and you're supposed to have the rod tip vertical, and I have a shiner minnow down on it. We're going to see how it works. If a fish picks up the shiner minnow. And I'm going to do a review on this, and I'm going to try to catch a couple different species on this, like trout and maybe a bass or crappie, and I'll let you know what I think of it. And that was $10 for 3 of those off Amazon, and here is what they look like. And I'll tell you, they're very difficult to get to set with the rod. And here's the tip down I have set. We have caught a bluegill and a white bass so far.
I started out fishing in 15 feet of water, and this time I just set up a crappie system with 2 minnows down on a rod about 5-6 feet off the bottom there, about 10 feet down in 15 feet of water. And I started jigging with the Sitka artist fish jig I've been working with, and I was working the jig from on bottom about 15 feet down up to about 8 feet under the water, and I was trying to keep the jig above the fish, and I was marking a lot of suspended fish between bottom and 5-6 feet up of bottom, and the fish would a lot of fish were chasing the jig up off of bottom and not hitting it. So I probably should have tried a different color jig or different bait. I also tried fishing with a glow shot spoon to try it out that I just got, and I caught 1 white bass on it right away. And the fish would really chase that up off the bottom, and they'd really aggressively come after it if you kept it above them, but they were not interested in taking it. So maybe I should have tried a little Swedish pimple or some other type of smaller jig. Sometimes if they're staring at something, you want to try a smaller or larger bait that's similar to it, or be more aggressive, or change up how you are fishing the bait if they're just staring at it and not hitting it. It also could have been that they were 3 to 5 inch white bass, which is what I was catching, and they were just being aggressive. So I could have jumped or moved around more too, but it was kind of cold, and I just had a couple hours to fish, so I just set out some lines and fished. How I usually fish for panfish is I usually go out, drill some holes in the area, and I jig in one hole for like 10 minutes, and I drop the jig down to bottom, leave it sit, and then I work the jig up higher if I don't have a flasher. And if I do have a flasher, I just put the bait where I see fish on the flasher and try to work them or see how they react to the bait I'm doing, and try different baits. And I'll just jump around and keep moving around holes to find where the aggressive fish are. And also, I tried putting out tip downs and with minnows on them. I was using fathead minnows, but crappie minnows work better to try to catch crappies when I was targeting crappies. And I usually use a size 12 treble hook with tip downs and a little split shot to get the bait down and have a varying depth buff of bottom. Well, thanks for watching this episode of Musky Hans Outdoors, and please help my channel grow by subscribing to my channel.